So this has been in the news for about a day or two now, and I've been meaning to speak on it, as the more my brain ruminates on this, the more I can't help but worry about the effects this may have on the wider video game industry for developers both big and small, thinking about making an RPG in the creature collecting subgenre. To make a long story short, Nintendo's essentially been throwing a legal hissy fit over the existence of Palworld for about 2 years now, trying to litigate the game out of existence through the use of various patents, and most recently it seems that they've taken their most egregious and overreaching step yet, as their newest patent pertains to the very idea of summoning creatures. I'm not going to go through the entire patent here, you can find a link to it on Forbes.com that I'll put into the description below, but essentially this pertains to the summoning of what the patent calls a sub-character, and then letting it do either automatic battle or taking orders from the main character. And if you've ever played any creature collector, whether it be Pokemon, Palworld, Fossil Fighters, whatever, you'll know that's essentially the core gameplay aspect of those. These sub-characters are your creatures. And so now that Nintendo's trying to patent this, they are essentially patenting the entire subgenre of creature collecting, at least as far as I can see here. Now, it is worth noting that this doesn't cover everything. Initially, I wondered if this meant games like Final Fantasy might get in trouble for their summons, but they might be able to get around with the fact that their creatures aren't so much characters you control, so much as they are just really powerful magic spells with a fancy animation, though even then, this patent is so broad that it very may well hit a Final Fantasy, or a Dragon Quest, or even a Persona. We don't know. And the reason why this has become worrying to me is because video game patents in general, and especially over the last, I'd say like 5 to 10 years, have really become more of a hindrance than they have anything else. We saw this when Activision tried the patent, and did successfully patent, I shouldn't say try, did manage to successfully patent the Nemesis system of Shadow of War and Mordor, meaning that patent just denied any use of that system in any other game. And did Activision do anything with it? Well, they were supposed to use it in Monolith Soft's Wonder Woman game, which then got cancelled, so that means that system has just sat stagnating, unused, unmodified, unbuilt upon. It is just a whole creative avenue that simply can't be pursued until that patent ran out. Bandai Namco also did this back in the 2000s when they patented the idea of loading screens having minigames on them, so they were the only ones that could do it, and even though it could be a really fun idea, it could be an interesting idea, just nope, no one else is allowed to use it now. And now Nintendo is going so far as to do this with essentially a core mechanic of an entire subgenre of RPGs. Even legal professionals have pushed back against this, with video game patent lawyer Kirk Sigmund calling this, quote, an embarrassing failure of the US patent system. And that's the really thing I want to get into. It's not just Nintendo patenting this that is bad, it's the fact that the US patent system is so quick to allow any of these patents, even for like core nebulous gameplay ideas that should be open to the public, are getting closed off and patented by companies like Activision and Nintendo, and it's just kind of worrying to me. I look in the situation, I can't help but wonder what else can be patented now. Could say Capcom come out here and patent the idea of a fighting game with special moves that you activate with a precision input? Could Epic Games sit here and patent the entire idea of a battle royale 100-person shooter? It feels as if Nintendo's recent patent here has opened a bit of a Pandora's box, where any company can go and patent the most broad, nebulous idea of a game mechanic, and they may very well have to just to protect themselves. So there's a very good chance that Capcom comes out here and patents something incredibly vague or incredibly general to Street Fighter or Monster Hunter or Resident Evil, not even out of a desire to keep that to themselves, but simply so somebody else doesn't come out and patent that, sit on it, and force them to pay money or try to block them from using those mechanics. I think the real reason why this whole story worries me is not just about Nintendo being greedy or Nintendo being shitty, though let's be fair here, they are being shitty. They are trying to legally stomp out competition when they should just be, you know, competing, making a better product. The whole idea of the quote-unquote fucking free market. And instead they would rather use lawyers and a legal system to bully any competition out of existence and continue selling, let's be real here, kind of subpar Pokemon games. I don't know if Palworld releasing the same year as Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, one of Nintendo and the Pokemon Company's biggest fucking embarrassments, had anything to do with this lawsuit, but it sure as fuck feels like it. It sure feels like the Pokemon Company and Nintendo would rather keep releasing subpar products and then sue anybody who tries to make something better rather than simply just improving their own fucking games. But I digress. My real concern about this is how far these patents are able to go before the United States Patent Office and patent offices around the world finally put a foot down and just say, no, you're not allowed to do that. That's too vague, that's too broad, that's just a game mechanic. That's like trying to patent fucking jumping. And I'm worried that we are going to see a bit of a nuclear arms race between these companies rushing to patent out gameplay mechanics that are in one way or another vital to their most popular series is continuing. The more I look at this, the more I can't help but worry that this might get out of hand very, very fucking quickly if it hasn't already, and I'd argue it has. As easy as it is to shit on Nintendo for even trying to patent this in the first place, and again, I do think they deserve the bulk of the blame here, I also do think people need to turn their ire to the patent office and to the people that allowed this patent to go through. In a reasonable world, this patent would have been laughed out of fucking court and Nintendo would have had to try a different strategy. I personally think the United States Patent Office is just as bad as Nintendo themselves for even allowing this to fucking happen. It's insane to me that this patent even got through. And honestly, I really feel like patents should just be much harder to get in general, especially patents for gameplay mechanics, patents for something that is not a story element, something that is not a particular character or anything, like something that is just a gameplay mechanic, just shouldn't be something you can patent, in my opinion. It's like patenting a style of directing. It's like if fucking Quentin Tarantino came out here and tried to patent, I don't know, fucking feet shots or whatever. It's insane and it shouldn't be allowed. Now, I don't know how much Nintendo's going to use this patent. They're almost certainly going to use it in their lawsuit against Palworld, but are they going to use it to just like strong arm other developers? Are they going to use it to say, hey, Bandai Namco, you can no longer make Digimon games because that's too similar to our patent? Hey, Konami, you can no longer make fucking Yu-Gi-Oh because that's too similar? Hey, Square Enix, you can no longer make Dragon Quest Monsters? We'll have to see, and we'll have to see whether or not Nintendo is actually going to use this to force other developers to bow to their whims. I don't know, this whole thing is just kind of unfortunate, and I genuinely wish Nintendo had taken any other direction in dealing with Palworld than this. Rather than trying to litigate any competition out of existence, they should have taken that as a sign of like, hey, maybe we should do a little better with Pokemon. Hey, maybe we should give Pokemon games a little more time in the oven. But unfortunately, here we are, so we'll just have to see how much Nintendo actually bothers to use this patent outside this Palworld case. Now, it is worth noting that a patent can be revoked if it's successfully challenged enough times, so hopefully some companies will start to push back on this, and if like a Bandai Namco or a Konami or Square Enix gets hit with this patent, and if Nintendo does try to take them to court over it, they're able to legally challenge it and ultimately get it revoked. But that's a very big if. And even if that does happen, a lot of smaller developers who simply can't fight back, who can't go against Nintendo in court, will be caught in the crossfire in the meantime. They may just be too afraid to be like, let's not use this mechanic, let's not do this really interesting gameplay idea because we're afraid Nintendo might come at us. And furthermore, even if this patent does get revoked, I think the fact that it ever got successfully filed in the first place shows a deep and gaping issue with the US patent system as it's currently structured. This needs to change so that developers and companies simply can't sit here and squat an idea for 5 to 10 years, if not longer, simply because they called dibs through the courtrooms. Sorry if this was a bit rambly, I just want to get this off my chest, and the more this has been floating around and the more we learn about this patent and this lawsuit with Palworld, the more it worries me basically the precedent that Nintendo is setting in the industry, and this idea that not only can you patent these ideas, you may very well have to avoid running into legal issues. Nintendo is doing this now because they're angry about Palworld existing. How long until a Capcom or a Konami or any other company decides to start patenting ideas not out of wanting to keep them, but out of the necessity of making sure somebody else doesn't sit on that patent and start fucking with them over it? There's a term out there called patent troll, and it refers to people just patenting an idea and suing or otherwise impeding anybody else who tries to use even a vaguely similar idea. And I'm worried now that major companies might start doing this to each other, or might even just start patenting up ideas just to even avoid the potential of having it done to them. Now, is this overreaching? Is this catastrophizing? Is this looking at the worst possible scenario? Maybe, but I can't help but think about it in this situation. Like I said earlier, it feels like opening Pandora's box. It feels like it's opening up the possibility for insane levels of abuse that could potentially squeeze out entire genres aside from one or two exceptions. And I worry about that. I love video games as a creative medium. I love seeing what people can do with old ideas and make them feel new again in gaming. And patents, I feel like, just kind of limit that with the way they are now. And so I do feel as if something needs to change here, not just with Nintendo's attitude, but with the US patent system and patent systems around the world in general. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about. I have a few other videos to record today, but I just wanted to get this off my chest and ask everybody out there, how are you feeling about this? Do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad? Do you think this is ultimately going to lead to more companies further patenting just core gameplay ideas? Do you think Nintendo's patent is going to stick, or do you think this will be challenged and eventually revoked? Let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Be sure to crank up the noise, and oh fuck, I have the Bubsy collection. I have to play Bubsy now. Oh dear. Goodbye, everybody.